Hello everyone. It's Tupa now. Technically not really. But until we do get any news on just when the heck Super is coming back, here's your content. Me and my good, wonderful, the only person I would ever dream of bringing on to do a Dragon Ball discussion, the one, the only, Smugstick.
Hello everyone, thanks for having me once again. It means a lot to me to be here.
And we're going to basically be stepping into the Dragon Ball room, knocking on Akira Toriyama's door, kicking out Toyotaro and taking a seat and being like, okay, here's what we want. Listen to us, YouTubers of YouTube. Let us tell you how to do your jobs.
That's always, honestly, this is what we should actually do. No joke, let's fly to Japan right now.
Alright, you know what? Video's over, guys. Just cue cut to us at an airport getting arrested by Toei. But yeah, not really much of a structure to this one, folks. I kind of want not only us, but all of you guys, go crazy in the comments on this one. I really want to know what your wildest, craziest dreams would be if you were in charge of the Dragon Ball series. Like, where do you take it from here? We're going off purely after the Broly movie, so we're gonna pretend or expect that that's not gonna get an anime adaptation, right?
Yeah, no, I really doubt it.
So we're gonna just rolling off as if we had to continue things after the Broly movie. And I guess I'm just gonna throw the ballpark just over to you because it gives me more time to think.
Okay. Well, okay, so Dragon Ball Super ended with the Tournament of Power, and then we went to the Broly movie. And right now in the manga, there's the More arc going on, which is actually writing a lot of it, more so than Toriyama, and I think it's being handled pretty well. However, a lot of people think or want them to adapt it into the anime. I'm not sure if I want that. Though the Moro arc has been probably the best arc in the Dragon Ball Super manga so far, honestly, in my opinion. I don't want it in the in the anime necessarily. I want to see something new. It's been so long since we've gotten something new animated. I say it as the Broly movie is only like 5 months old, but whatever. I want something that's a little more back to basics. It's not a tournament, and more of a big bad guy. I say this even though I know that the Moro arc has the big bad guy, but we had tournaments in the Dragon Ball Super anime, and I'm not the biggest fan of either of them. So the only thing I do know that I don't want is a tournament. That's the only thing I beg Toei for right now.
I'm with you there. I feel like the Tournament of Power is like, that's done me on long tournaments for basically forever at this point. I don't need a sequel to that. I think that's the biggest you could get with Dragon Ball tournaments for now, at least. I think that's a good place to leave it. The stakes for that were so high. There's no way you're going to make that more. I think that's a good place to just shelve tournament arcs for a good few years. But yeah, I think like Moro's been a villain in the sense that we haven't really had since Buu, Frieza, Cell. Goku, Black Zamasu were kind of doing their own thing where they weren't really villains that we had to chase down. They were just we kept coming back to them and getting our asses kicked. Whereas Frieza, for example, he's foreshadowed, and then when we turn up, we fight his minions for a little bit, and then we fight Frieza, and then Cell. We fight the androids for a little bit, and then we fight Cell, and then Majin Buu. We fight Dabura and Babidi's minions, and then we fight Majin Buu. There's always like a setup to the big guy, whereas Moro's had minions, but it's always kind of been him straight away. And I think Super's had that problem a lot, where we're not getting these grand, sprawling, long arcs. We're more so getting like snapshot fights that take maybe a week at most.
Yeah, and I think part of this is because the Super takes place in a specific time. You know, it's between the Buu fight and the end of Z. So they have a specific time that they can't move past, they can't move back from. So I think that's part of the problem, is that we can't have huge, like, long things if we know what's coming ahead. You know, like, this whole Super has the stakes in Super are really weird because we already know everybody survives. We already know Oob is gonna come in and stuff like that. And that brings me to the fact that I really want to see Oob. I don't know what's gonna happen with Super, and I really doubt they're gonna move past the end of Z anytime soon. But if it was up to me, they would definitely pick back up. Next episode of Super, we open up, we see the tournament happen. Oob leaves with Goku. That's where we start Super 2, in my opinion. That's what I would want.
I think you've basically said what me and every single Dragon Ball fan, seemingly everywhere. I've never seen someone who's like, no, stay. Don't move past Oob. That would be the hot take I'm waiting to see. The moment I've said that, I've just birthed that like person in the comments who's like, oh, actually, I like the 5-year gap. I like knowing everyone's going to be safe. Keeps me happy. So, yeah. That guy, he's happy. He's writing for Toei. But for me, I'm 100% in your camp where I think this is a good chance to maybe capitalize on the fact that where we leave everyone's characters after the Tournament of Power is actually a really good place to lead into the end of Z. Because if you think about it, Goku has achieved Ultra Instinct. He's not mastered it, he can't do it at will, but he's starting to he's reached the pinnacle of martial arts. There's not really much he can do to get better once he masters Ultra Instinct. Then he's going to be on that like insane level, at least far as we know. But it makes sense then that we see in the Broly movie, he's like, you know what, maybe I want to be a teacher, maybe I want to train this guy. And then obviously that would lead, oh, Oob, I can see you've got really good potential, I want to train you. I think the idea of Goku transitioning, because we've always kind of had the idea of Goku wants to let the next gen inherit his mission. I think maybe that's always been kind of implying that Goku has to go away. I don't think Goku has to go. I think a smart arc would be to make Goku like the Roshi of the series, where he's around and really strong. Or maybe for My Hero Academia fans, make Goku like the All Might, where he's like the strongest guy, but the story is not focused on him, but he can turn up still and kick ass.
Exactly. That would be awesome. I think Toriyama wanted to leave something like that by the Buu saga, and it didn't really turn out that way because he, according to him, Gohan wasn't suited for the hero role. I disagree, but I don't know what's going on through the man's head. That man's crazy. But
we're looking for it.
Exactly. I think Goku training Oob, actually seeing the training with Oob, not like GT where we see one fight and that's it. And actually utilizing the other characters such as Goten. Goten, I don't think he did anything in Super. I think he fused once, from what I remember.
Mm-hmm, the Patafu arc.
Yeah, exactly. And Trunks, Gohan, Goten, even the Earthling Z fighters, I think, should get more of a spotlight. I know that's a very obvious thing to say about Super. And thankfully, they do seem to be stepping that way, at least a little bit. Even if they didn't get to do much in the Tournament of Power arc, they did at least get to be in the tournament. And I just want to see them train and fight and do a little more for the Earth, for themselves, rather than wait for Goku to get out of the healing chamber and step in to fight Frieza.
Mm-hmm. And I think a good place to take that would be, okay, so we've gotten to the point now where Goku and Vegeta are both like astronomically powerful. But again, as wonky as it was getting there, and as much sense as it really doesn't make, I do thank the Tournament of Power for at least that training recruitment arc where everyone was suddenly on Goku's level again. It didn't make any sense, but you know, I'm happy it happened because we can just go forward with that. We don't have to create crazy explanations and stuff for why Krillin could be relevant again. We can just have him be there. And I think that makes it a more interesting story because we've got all these great characters and there's a lot, so we don't have to use all of them. We don't have to have like Piccolo in every arc. We don't have to have Android 18 in every arc. But we can have arcs where it's like 4 or 5 of them or 3 of them and the rest of them aren't and they get their focus. I think that's going to be the best place to let Super get its own identity rather than just feeling like the Goku Vegeta highlights. because I think that's also not fair to Goku and Vegeta, because being in the spotlight all the time means they have to make all the mistakes to make the plot happen. Like, there's a reason why people have been frustrated with Goku's character, and I don't really blame the writing staff even. It's just because Goku's at the forefront at all times now, rather than in Z and in Dragon Ball, he wasn't always the strongest guy. He would be the majority the strongest guy, sure, but there would be peaks and valleys. Like Piccolo would be the strongest for a bit, Vegeta would be the strongest for a bit, Gohan would be the strongest for a bit, and Goku would like take breaks now and again. I think that's a good approach to maybe bring in to continue some of the development we've been having. Like, for instance, one of my wishes is I really want to see them bring in some elements from Dragon Ball Online, where we get Gohan start teaching the populace of Earth how to use Ki. I think that's a really smart idea for his character.
Yeah, for real. I love the lore introduced in Dragon Ball Online. It's kind of confusing at times, but some of it is really interesting. For example, Trunks and Goten start a sword fighting school. Krillin and Tenshinhan start the Turtle Hermit martial arts school and the Crane martial arts school, respectively. Pan becomes the hero of Earth at one point. The heroes all fight the remaining of Frieza's forces wearing Great Saiyaman outfits together, and that's what I want to see animated. I want to see all of them wearing Great Saiyaman outfits and fighting Frieza Force. That sounds like the best thing.
We've got, like, again, it's kind of weird how well things circle back to that, because there's another thing I really like, and maybe I'm controversial in this, but we'll see, because me and you both like Western comics quite a bit. I really want Frieza to stick around as, like, Goku's Joker. I don't want Frieza to ever go away. I don't know if that's controversial, but I like that we finally got a villain in Dragon Ball who's the arch villain, who's always around doing shit. Like, in a Batman comic, the villains don't die, obviously, because Batman doesn't kill, but, like, we can bring them back now and again for adventures. And the fact that we've got Frieza in the position where he's always around as a threat and is scheming and stuff, I think, like, that makes every story 10 times more interesting. Because, for example, say we throw in a new big villain in the next arc of Super, and he's got his own plan. That's interesting. But what if he's also got to contend with Frieza? And then the Z fighters have to fight him at the same time, and then the Beerus gets involved. That's like 4-way of conflict. And that's like the Namek arc where everyone was out for themselves. That's really interesting storytelling that can make the simple plot of Dragon Ball sometimes, where it's just like strong enemy peers fight, a lot more interesting is you just introduce more players.
Exactly. That's a really good point about Frieza. I hadn't even really thought about it. Frieza has always been very interesting to me. I'm not the biggest fan of him as much as other people are, but I do know he's the most iconic character, villain in the Dragon Ball mythos, and it is really cool to see him around. I think if he was more forward with his threats rather than jokingly so, like in Broly, he wanted to be 5 centimeters taller.
Look, and I think we could all relate.
I get it's Toriyama being Toriyama, and I love it. I love the joke and how it plays back to Bulma's own wanting to be 5 years younger. But I think Frieza being a little more threatening would go a long way to making his stay a lot more meaningful, and I think we're heading that way. And I really hope it. At least I hope I'm telling the truth. But then there's all the other characters sticking around that we don't see often. For example, Broly is around. There's Jacko and the Galactic Patrol, which is coming to play in the Moro arc, which is really cool to see because it's another thing they're bringing in that we don't see often. There's a bunch of things that we heard of that we don't know about. There's the Namekian Book of Legends. There's Tarbol. A lot of stuff like that could be used in the future that I really hope they implement and just expand the lore a little bit more, and potentially not even for actual spin-offs, but just let us know that there's other stuff going on in the universe besides just the stuff on Earth.
And here's something we're getting more into fanfic territory at this point, but this is something I definitely feel is overdue, and I think we definitely need that. Be it like an arc or two into the next series. I really, really want the Goku versus Beerus rematch. And I want Goku to definitively surpass Beerus.
Yes, absolutely. I did read somewhere that Toriyama said that he doesn't want Beerus to be surpassed, but I really want that. I think, I don't even know if, I don't know, I think it would be a proper way to end a series, but even if it's not the ending, I think it would be even cooler if it wasn't the ending and Goku surpasses Beerus, and he then turns to Whis and says, now you, or something like that.
Because what I want is Goku does to Whis and like, no you. That's classic. My reason for that isn't even just, oh, I want Beerus out of the picture. No. If Goku surpasses Beerus, Beerus can become part of the cast, and we can get him involved in conflicts. Because Beerus is a really great character, and I think he'd be a lot more interesting if he wasn't having that sense of, we've already done every single joke possible with Beerus is the strongest in the room, everyone's scared of him. I really kind of want him to get that like Vegeta Frieza dynamic where he's just really strong and he's always a threat, but he's not the boss of the team, he's just part of the team. Imagine how cool it would be if Goku and Beerus had to team up against someone.
Dude, that would be so cool. I can already imagine like a screenshot of Beerus all battle damage, holding his arm or something like that against the villain. Because we've never seen him in a position like that. He's one of the strongest characters, and we've only seen him fight once, if you don't count the manga.
And I think it's time, because obviously after Jiren, the guy who surpasses all gods of destruction, this is the point where we've reached characters who are above that tier, or at least stronger than some. I don't want to get into an argument in the comments there, but like it's no longer sacrilege that only angels can be stronger than gods. It's been proven now that people can defeat gods of destruction. So I feel like if we're gonna keep upping the stakes, and if we are gonna keep Goku and Vegeta around, then we can't also keep making the threats so tame. Like, Moro's interesting and he's unique, but at the same time, I've never really felt that Goku and Vegeta were really in any danger, at least in the same way that when Beerus first turns up in Battle of Gods and he has this presence, I don't think that's been felt since, because Jiren's alright, but he doesn't have that same Dragon Ball feel that Beerus had. Like, he had a character. I really want a big villain like that to come back, and I also kind of want to see... You remember the Tour of Powers like first starting, and every YouTube thumbnail was Grand Priest Evil.
Yeah.
I legit, it's as fanficky as that is, and I don't think it would have worked. I feel like part of why the Tournament of Power does get like that feeling of when you're like halfway through, it's like, oh, this is dragging on a bit, is because every Dragon Ball tournament had that like twist where they're, oh, this is now, what you thought you knew is over. Like, Master Roshi with Jackie Chun mystery keep going on. Obviously the audience knows that, but the heroes don't know that. Tien's change of heart during his tournament. Piccolo revealing himself, and now suddenly it's a life and death battle rather than just for the championship. The Sal games as a whole is like every twist every 20 seconds. I feel like the idea of introducing the angels as these beings that can't be stopped no matter what you do, and then having them be the threat, feels like the ultimate, oh shit, just got serious. Because the problem with Beerus and Whis is, as great as they are the safety net. As long as they're there and people aren't stronger than them, then they're not really characters, they're like plot devices. I feel like the moment you make someone stronger than Beerus and Whis have to help fight them, that's when the story gets 10 times more interesting.
Exactly. Bringing back to that, you started making me think about the fact that they introduced a lot of things that they just never go anywhere. Like, remember that one shot when one of the, I don't remember which one of the tournaments, one of the universes gets destroyed, and one of the angels smirks,
like really menacingly.
Yeah, and that never went anywhere. Whatever happened to that?
Like, I feel like that's a good way to turn it, because, for instance, fiction likes to do all these like angels and stuff, and a lot of the time in Japanese media they do turn out to be evil sometimes. You can just name a list of anime, I'm sure, in the comments. It's one of those things where it's a cool idea to introduce, and I feel like this would be the way to end the series, because I don't think you can get bigger than that. I think that is the climax. Like, I don't think you can get better than like Dragon Ball Arc, where we have to individually take out each one of the angels, and then the final Grand Prix guy is like the big guy or something. I think that's a really good way to end Dragon Ball. Like, I think as just a whole, I don't think we're ever going to get there because Dragon Ball prints money. But if we were going to do that point, that's what I would do personally, is I would have the Goku versus Beerus fight like halfway through the series. And then at the end of the series, the big arc would be the fight against the angels. And that's what I would do, because I also feel like that helps let the new generation have the shine in the more tame arcs. Like, say a villain like Moro turns up and Goten and Trunks have to deal with him, while Goku and Vegeta are like fighting the angels elsewhere or something.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, because we've already ascended to godhood, or whatever it's called. We have gods running around everywhere. The only thing that's above them is the angels, and even Goku and Vegeta are gods, so they're like, there's nowhere else to go but to there. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why they haven't done that yet, honestly. It seems like such an obvious thing to do, especially with the Grand Prix. Yeah,
because it's one of those times in Dragon Ball where for the first time, I don't know if you've had this feeling, but it does feel like we're standing in place. Dragon Ball, Toriyama's original story, even GT had this, which is crazy. Every time a new threat turns up, we defeat them barely, but we don't linger on them. We don't waste time just pretending like Cell's the strongest being in the universe and can never be topped, and we're just gonna have to stick with that for the rest of the series. I feel like Beerus and Whis putting like that cap has really made the series feel like, okay, Goku and Vegeta are getting a lot stronger, but it doesn't feel like that, because Beerus still talks to Goku the exact same way.
Yeah, for real. Like, for example, like Toriyama, when Battle of Gods came out, he said like Goku's a 3, Beerus is a 6, and Whis is an 11 or something like that. But it's been so long since they fought, and so many powers, so much stuff has going on, that like there's no way Goku should not be stronger than Beerus at this point. It's a little ridiculous that we're still on that whole shtick. I get that. It's kind of, I don't know, it's baffling, honestly.
It's one of those things where I feel like, legit, if we get to the point where Goku gets another transformation on top of Mastered Ultra Instinct, and Beerus is still like, maybe he could be a challenge, I'm quitting. I'm throwing away my channel. You guys can quote me on that shit. Please don't quote me on that shit, because now that I've said it, fucking it's gonna happen. But you guys get what I mean by that. It's just, we've reached the point where like everyone, when Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken first turned up, people were like, oh, is Goku now stronger than Beerus? How far have we gone past that now? And it's still a question, it's still a debate. Like, Jesus Christ. I don't want to stay on this topic a lot because it almost deserves its own video. But like, Luis, I think we're really hitting on something here where Super, not only with Beerus, but with the time jump, with the Oob thing, with the Goku Vegeta show, it really feels like they're afraid to move past the manga, when really they should be embracing it. Because that's when the story is going to get better, because that's when Dragon Ball's at its best, when it's in new territory, when it's exciting, when it's an adventure series.
Exactly. And as much as I love a lot of stuff that's been going on, I really, really love the Broly movie, for example. That was something very different from what we've seen. I was mostly excited for it because of things outside of the story. I was mostly excited because of the music, because of new interpretation of Broly, because of the animation. It's stuff like that, like all that's new for Dragon Ball, that's getting me excited. And I think if they embrace that story-wise as well, I think they would do a lot better. For example, GT, for all the faults it has, at least it tried something different and something exciting. And I think what it did very well. For the stuff that it tried to do new. For example, the baby arc, in my opinion, is really well done. And that's because it was all stuff going back to previously untapped lore. That was the Tuffles, and making something completely new out of that. So for all its faults, GT at least did that well. And the stuff that it did wrong, I think GT really exemplifies this that we're talking about Super, is stuff that tried to do that had to do with the past. Making Goku a child was because people getting tired of Dragon Ball and wanted to see, and Funimation, not Funimation, Toei Animation wanted to see if bringing Goku back to being a child, like when the story started, would do better, and it didn't. It made things worse, and because Dragon Ball was lingering on the past, like you said.
And I think that's a good place to wrap this up. Is if I had to sum up my hopes just in like a sentence or something, I feel like Super Tuper, as we'll dub it, when it comes back, to really be a success, because Super was a success. Super got people talking about Dragon Ball again. Super is one of the reasons why we're even here on this channel talking. I feel like it's got that momentum. It's got people talking about Dragon Ball Weekly again. Now it's time to take those risks. Now it's time to be like, okay, we're not going to just stick with the status quo we got from Battle of Gods. That was our success, but now we've got that money, now we've got these new character designers, now we've got this music and this new Broly and this new power-up and this new world to explore. Let's explore it. Let's go on a mystical adventure, a Maku Fuji adventure. I can't pronounce that, but you guys, hopefully, you know what I mean by that. Yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed this discussion. What I'm really excited for is the comments for this. Like, literally, go nuts. I want your craziest, crackiest, fanfickiest ideas. Write huge paragraphs in the comments, and I'll try to read all of them. Emphasis on try. But yeah, I could have done this without my partner in crime. Thanks for joining me on this, man. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks so much, dude.
So, hope you've enjoyed, folks. And as always, take it easy.